Hey, house guests. Welcome to today's Big Brother 23 updates and spoilers. What's going on? Hope you're all having a great day today. Hope I make it through this spoiler today better than I did yesterday. We'll see what happens, but thank you all for being here. Our house guests of the day are Rachel Plato and Traval. I'm assuming it's Traval K. Thank you both so much for the support. We could not do this without you, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. It's only $1 for a holla. What a deal. What a steal. And I also want to thank yesterday's super chatters before we get going, because that is a fantastic way to support this channel and keep us doing what we're doing. So Chris, John, Jody Cortez, Janet Tucker 68, Brooke McLaughlin, Southeast Debris Removal and Recycling, aka Lisa, Alex Garza, Nini Girl, and Mary Patricia Dorsey. Thank you all so much for the super chats yesterday. And I see we got some super chats today. So Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much. He says his favorite feed moments from this week. Block party hammock time, yes. Derek X and Claire, oh my God. You're right. Their chemistry is contagious. And I've thought, like, everybody's always saying that Hannah and DX are, like, on the way to being a showmance or whatever. But I always thought he had way more chemistry with Claire. And I definitely see them, like, hanging out in the real world. I don't know that they would ever actually date, but you could tell there is a real friendship there. And it's fun to watch. Very, very good stuff. Thank you, Jefferson, for the super chat. And again, here, wow, thank you. Yes, Waffle Wednesday. I'm just reading your I guess I should read it out loud. Since Waffle Wednesday was teased and I haven't had time to watch feeds today, I can't wait for today's fabulous spoilers. Is there hope? I honestly don't know what's going to happen. I will say it's not looking great for Derek X, but I think there is a chance. I think a lot could change potentially once Xavier goes into solitary confinement. Because I think Xavier is really the one that is pushing the most for Derek X to go, within the cookout anyway. Because Xavier knows it would be terrible for his game for Derek X to stay. Everybody else, it seems like it could be a good thing, but Xavier, he's calling the shots here. He's saying that Derek X has to go. So once he goes into solitary confinement, there is a chance that some magic could happen. Who knows? But Sheena123, Sheena123, thank you so much for the super chat. I hope I feel better too. Thank you. And you hope Alyssa or Claire win HOH and put 2 cookout members up on the block. I would be really curious to see how a Claire HOH would play out. I think we would be in for a good time. So fingers crossed, right? Laura G, thank you so much for the super chat. You are amazing. Lonnie Boyette, thank you so much for the super chats. I hope I'm feeling better too again. I hope it's not Corona. You never know. I am fully vaccinated, but who knows what could happen with the Delta variant floating around. Nina Sosa, I hope I said your name right. Thank you so much for the super chat. You are so sweet. And Lisa, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys are just awesome. That's such a cute little sticker. What does that say? How's it going? It's going pretty good. So let's get started here, you guys. When we left off yesterday, Claire and Derek X up on the block. We know that DX is Sarah Beth's target, but anything could happen, right? So I told you guys yesterday, Tiffany was talking to the cameras and she told us she wants Derek X to stay. And she's still planning on trying to keep him. She said that she wants to wait until later in the week to try and convince the cookout to keep Derek X. Excuse me. So I'm wondering, again, is she waiting until Xavier is in solitary confinement? Because things could really change if he's not around to provide counter arguments and tell everybody why Derek X needs to go. So who knows what's going to happen there. But Xavier, again, has been very consistent in saying that Derek X has to be the one to go. He is on to Tiffany. He knows that she's scheming to keep Derek X. So should be interesting. Yes, that is Halls, right? Yes, in my little Snickers container. Okay, so yesterday, Tiffany and Kylan were chatting in the kitchen, and Tiffany says, honestly, if I wasn't afraid of y'all being mad at me, it wouldn't even be a question. Translation, if it wasn't for the cookout, she'd be keeping Derek X this week. No questions asked. So it sounds like the cookout is planning to split the vote this week because they want to make sure their alliance stays under wraps. And they also want to give some people a chance to maybe get Derek X's jury vote. Who knows? So Kylan says, I know, Tiffany, I appreciate you. If you want to be the second vote for him instead of me, I would not have a problem with that. Of course, Hannah is going to be one of the votes for Derek X to stay. And Kylan was hoping that he would be the other one. So he's telling Tiffany, like, if you really want, you could be that second vote. But it would just suck because, and then Kylan proceeds to explain how hard he worked to make sure that 2 cookout members did not end up on the block this week. So he was really hoping that, like, he could be one of the votes for Derek X to stay, like, as a reward. So, yeah, he wants to lock in Derek X's jury vote. And he tells Tiffany, like, if that's what it takes to move forward, then I'll give that up. And you could be that second vote. So Xavier then joins them. And Kylan says that he spoke to Hannah. And Hannah feels like it's very unfair that she has to keep explaining to people why Derek X has to be the one to go this week when he is her +1. I'm so sorry, guys. So, he says Hannah has to worry about other people's emotions instead of her own. You know, she's having a really difficult week, and then she's got to deal with other people's stuff. So Tiffany asks, are you saying it's me? Hannah's talking about me? And Kylan's like, no, like, it's multiple people. It could be Azah. It's Tiffany. So Tiffany says, just because someone is not your number or not your +1 doesn't mean that you don't still have a relationship with them. So Kylan says, again, Hannah shouldn't have to be the one supporting people this week. We should be supporting her. So Tiffany's like, whatever, it's dead to me. I don't care. Like, we're not talking about it anymore. Like, let's not have any more redundant conversations about it. Moving on. So then Big D joins them. They're not moving on from this, by the way. But Big D joins them. And Xavier says he wants to talk to everybody in the 6 before he goes into solitary. He wants to make sure that they're on the same page about the vote the way that the solitary confinement is working, he is supposed to, yeah, a little dab. He's going to be in solitary leading right up until the live vote. So he's not going to be able to talk to people about this vote right before. So he wants to make sure everybody's on the same page. So Tiffany's like, whatever you guys want to do, like, I'll do it. I'm fine with it. She is pissed. Big D says he'd prefer to vote out Derek X because he knows he can't beat him in competitions. So then Big D goes outside after that because they don't want to all be caught talking together in the kitchen. So Kylan says he doesn't want anyone to feel like there's, like, power dynamics within the 6 and there's, like, a select few of them that are calling shots and everyone else has to just agree with it. That's BS because I remember him saying that there should only be, like, 3 of them that are making all the decisions and the other people in the group, they don't think about things enough. Like, they shouldn't be making decisions, blah, blah, blah. So Kylan says, I want to hear what everyone has to say so that we can make the best decision for the whole group. And he says, I'm not coming from any place of authority. Like, we need to hear what everybody thinks. So Tiffany apologizes. She says, I don't have a whole lot to say. She says, I'm perfectly fine with whatever the decision is. She says, I'm not trying to put myself in a position where y'all view me as the troublemaker, the flipper, the emotional person, the selfish player, the personal gamer. She says, it's a dead situation to me. It doesn't matter what I think about it. I'm not in a position to call any shots because, you know, I haven't won competitions like you guys have. So, you know, it's up to you guys and I'll just do whatever. She doesn't really think that. She's just playing along with them right now. So Xavier can tell that Tiffany is not a happy camper right now, and he knows that Kylan probably has something to do with it. So Xavier sends Kylan outside, and Tiffany and Xavier chat alone. And Xavier asks, did Kylan get on your nerves? And Tiffany says, yeah, kind of. I mean, it was super obvious. So Xavier says, I want to know your thoughts on this vote. So I don't think Xavier actually has any intention of flipping his vote to keep Derek X, but he knows that Tiffany wants to feel heard in this moment. So that is just one of the reasons why Xavier is such a good player. He knows what people want. He knows what people need. And even if he is not planning on going along with their ideas, he's willing to listen. And that makes a big difference with people. So Tiffany says, all right, here, there are pros and cons for each nominee. So she says, Derek X, he's not coming for us. She also brings up Derek X is not Derek X is not as untouchable as we previously thought. I mean, look at this week. Sarah Beth could be the one taking him out. Like, did we ever expect that to happen? So she's saying he's, a lot more vulnerable than we previously thought. She says, Claire has been very distant from me. I don't know what all of her thoughts are right now. I don't know what she wants to do in the game. So I don't have as tight a hold on her as I previously did. Now, is all this true? Not really. So Tiffany brings up that she feels like the guys in the cookout feel that the girls can't handle making the decisions for the group, or like maybe the girls shouldn't be making decisions for the group because they haven't really won any competitions. The guys have been talking about this a lot, so she just freaking clocked them. But Tiffany says, I'm going to sit back and do what I do best. I'm a strategizer, right? I mean, she came up with this whole +1 plan for the cookout to make it to the final 6. And so far, it's working. So, yeah, she's a strategizer for sure. So Xavier says, all right, cool. I still got to talk to the rest of the group. I did want to hear your arguments because you're so logical all the time. He's just telling her what she wants to hear, right? So then a little later, Tiffany was chatting with Derek X in the backyard. And Tiffany says, I think Xavier is the one that you need to convince. And I've got a pitch for you to use with him. So she tells DX, you cannot say that you would go after Kylan because that is not what Xavier wants to hear. When you're talking to Kylan and Xavier, let them know, I know you guys are close with Sarah Beth and Alyssa. Keep me around to take them out for you because they're going to have to go eventually, right? And you don't want to lose their jury votes. So if you're expecting Tiffany, Azah, and Hannah to do that for you, if you're expecting them to do that for you, it's probably not going to happen because those 3 haven't really won anything yet. So Tiffany also says, tell them, there's a lot of women on the jury, so the guys need to stick together, promise them 2 weeks of safety, all this stuff. So she's got some good points for him to make. And then after, Tiffany talks to the cameras in the bathroom, and Tiffany says, so I promised Kylan and Xavier that I wouldn't say anything to them regarding campaigning to keep Derek X here, and I won't. Not to them. Then she's like, but I didn't say that I wouldn't help Derek X build his campaign. So she says, I gotta stop doing that. So she says, my mission for the next 2 days is to give Derek X his campaign pitch to use on Kylan and Xavier. She really wants to work on that with him. So she says, let me work my little magic, sprinkle a little seasoning on the cookout. I'm not giving up. She says, I don't want Derek X to go. She says, this is Big Brother. I want to have some fun. I'm ready to flip this vote for Derek X. And she says, this time, I might actually just get what I want. Yay! I'm glad to see her playing the game. We'll see if it goes anywhere. I don't know, but give me 1 sec. Okay. Here we go. So then a little later, Tiffany has a quick check-in with Hannah, and we missed the beginning of this conversation, but we can tell what it's about from what we do here. So Tiffany says, I don't know what that was. Tiffany says, I just feel like regardless of who has a person, who doesn't, whatever, everyone is connected to these people outside of the cookout. She says, I'm not emotionless to these people, whether they're your plus one or somebody else's plus one, whatever. So if I made you feel some kind of way about it, I apologize. So Tiffany is referring to what Kylan was saying earlier about Hannah being frustrated, that she's being like burdened with other people's emotions about getting rid of Derek X. So Hannah hugs her. She says, it's okay, Tiff. And that's the end of that. So then Hannah talks to Xavier in the bathroom. This is getting messy, guys. This is getting messy. So Hannah says, I'm not sure if Tiffany is mad at me right now. And Hannah says, I did voice my concern to Kylan that we're not all on the same page this week about who to send home. And I was hinting at him that it's frustrating that I have to justify why my person should go home this week. I shouldn't have to be the one to break down that reasoning to people. So she's like, I don't know how Kylan retold that whole thing to Tiffany, like what he said about it, but she just came up to me and apologized for burdening me with her emotions about Derek X going home. So Xavier says Tiffany needs to stop being so connected to everybody, right? She always seems to have an issue on an emotional level with people leaving. So Xavier says, I don't think Tiffany's mad at you. I think she's just frustrated in general with the situation. So Hannah says she is down to keep Derek X this week if and only if the other cookout members agree that they will take him out later, because she says, I can't be the one to do that. I would lose his jury vote. What about, like, you'd lose his friendship? She's only talking about the jury vote. But Hannah says, even if somebody else won HOH and she won the veto and Derek X was up, she would feel like she would need to use the veto on him. So she's saying, you guys got to promise me you'll step up and take him out. So Hannah says, we can use Derek X as a weapon to take out Sarah Beth or Alyssa, and then you and Kylan wouldn't have to do that. But again, she's saying Tiffany, Kylan, and Azah would all have to promise that they would take a shot at Derek X. What is Hannah doing? Does she really think that she would be able to win in the end going up against Kylan and Xavier? The guys in the cookout are planning on just picking the girls off once they get to that final six. The women do not seem prepared for that, but Tiffany is trying to help Hannah's game here by keeping her +1 over her own. You know, she's trying to keep Hannah's +1 over her own +1, Claire. And what does Hannah do in return? She's like ratting out Tiffany to Xavier. Sorry, my brain just died for a sec. So I don't like this look on Hannah. I'm not feeling it. I'm not digging it. I know that Hannah really wants to follow Xavier's lead and she wants to get the whole cookout to the final six, but I think she's missing here that she's not going to have a great chance to win this whole thing if the cookout does get to the final six. But anyway, Derek X was hitting the campaign trail yesterday. He was talking to Azah in the yacht club bedroom, and here are some highlights. Derek X says if he wins the Coin of Destiny next week, he would put up Kylan and Sarah Beth, and that is exactly what Azah wants to hear. So then Azah's like, all right, well, who would go up if one of them won the power of veto? And Derek X says, I've been trying to figure that out. You know, at first he mentions Xavier's name, which Azah's not super into, but then he says, you know what? I would wait and see what the house wants. I would have them help me decide. And Azah likes that because she knows that the cookout is basically like the house right now. They control the majority here. So she's like, oh, okay, I could get Derek X to put Alyssa up on the block then. I like that. So Derek X says, I know even if I do stay, I'm probably not going to make it much further in this game. But I care about you. I care about Hannah, Tiffany, he mentions Claire too, but Claire would be gone if he were to stay. But he says, I want to help you guys get further in this game, even if I'm not going to. So Derek X says, also, some of the strongest players in the game here, Kylan, Sarah Beth, Xavier, and Alyssa, they would all be coming after me. I would be a shield in front of you. And he says, I think those 4 are trying to get closer to Big D this week. I keep seeing them talking to him because they think that he is going to be the swing vote. And he says, I saw Kylan, Xavier, and Big D all in the have not room together. Now, this should kind of be, I don't want to say a red flag, but maybe like an orange flag for Azah, that like all the Cookout dudes were talking together and they got caught like that, because again, these ladies in the Cookout need to realize the guys are not going to be trying to bring them to the very end. So they need to start making moves. I know Tiffany realizes it, but I don't know how on board Azah and Hannah are with it. So Azah says, I need to think about this. You made a lot of really good points. And she says she's also going to talk to Big D about it. All right. So then after, Azah was alone and talking to the cameras. And she says, I felt so certain until like 30 minutes ago. She says Derek X brought up some really, really good points. Oh, okay. So she says, she addresses the viewers and she says, I got a bone to pick with y'all. Why aren't you giving me money? Because Azah has gotten 50 BB bucks the last 2 weeks. So Azah's asking, what did I do to you? I haven't done anything to you guys. If y'all think about me the same way that you think about Kylan and SB, because they've also been getting 50, we have a problem. Because I don't like them either. This was hilarious. She says, y'all shouldn't be putting me down with them in the 50s. So Azah, again, is saying that Derek X brought up some really good points. She likes that he would take out Sarah Beth and Alyssa. So she's really giving it some thought and trying to figure out if it would make sense for her game to keep Derek X around. So then Claire and Derek X both made pitches to Xavier because he is going to be going into solitary the following day. So they want to make sure that they get to talk to him before that. So Claire is saying that she wants to work with Xavier. She's saying we could be really good together because our strengths don't overlap. Obviously, you're a very good physical competitor. I think I could bring it with like puzzles and mental memory, whatever. So Xavier's like, cool. Would you want to work with Alyssa as well? And of course, Claire says yes. Duh, she's going to say yes. And Xavier does let her know that he is leaning towards voting Derek X out this week. Then we flip over to Derek X's campaign with Xavier. And Derek X is breaking out the freaking chessboard, running through scenarios with Xavier. Derek X says, if I stay, I'm guaranteed a chance at the Coin of Destiny. And of course, we know Xavier would be up as the third nominee next week unless he wins HOH. So DX says, knowing that you're going to be up there potentially, I would not put Alyssa up next to you. I would make sure that you would be safe up there if you can't win the power veto for yourself. And also, I'll be a shield in front of you. So, like, he's making some interesting points here, but it really doesn't benefit Xavier's game to keep Derek X, and Xavier's not going to be flipping his vote. No way. Okay, so then Xavier is trying to get the Cookout back on track with what he wants, which is to vote out Derek X. So he's talking to Azah in the Yacht Club bedroom, and he asks Azah, what do you think about all this? And Azah says, honestly, it would be better for my personal game for Derek X to stay this week. Yeah, she says it makes sense for her. So I'm losing my mind right now. So Xavier says we need to take out the people outside of the Cookout who can win competitions. So Azah brings up she's worried that if Alyssa were to win HOH next week, she's not going to put up Sarah Beth because they're close. And say Claire does go up on the block. What if Claire wins the power veto? Then there would be 3 Cookout members up on the block. That's not good. So Xavier says, I guess we just have to reevaluate in that situation, right? But he feels that scenario could happen with anyone outside of the Cookout winning HOH. So then Azah is talking about how Derek X wants to put up Sarah Beth and Kyland. She likes that. And she says Alyssa would go up as the renom if necessary. So Xavier says, oh, really? Because Kyland, or not Kyland. Sorry, that was really disgusting, but very necessary. Okay, so Xavier says, DX told me that Alyssa would not go up. So he is making promises to everyone, and he's not going to be able to keep all these promises. So Xavier is also concerned that Derek X is going to keep winning competitions, and eventually he's going to run out of people outside the Cookout to target. So what are they going to do then? So Azah's like, all right, hear what you're saying. Enough game talk. Womp womp. It seems like Azah has flipped back to agreeing that they need to vote out Derek X. So then Derek X checks in with Tiffany. He lets her know how his campaigning has been going. And he says, man, Xavier had a rebuttal for every argument that I made. It's almost like he's a lawyer or something, huh? But he admits it would not make sense for Xavier's game to keep Derek X around. So DX says, I'm going to shift my focus to Kyland instead of Xavier. And he wants to wait until Xavier is in solitary confinement. And then he will talk to Kai about keeping him. Nice. That's some good thinking right there. So there were some more discussions about the vote last night, but it gets very repetitive after a while. So I'm hearing lots of keeping Derek X would be better for my personal game. If it wasn't for the Cookout, I would keep him. Okay. It's just like such a bummer to hear so many of them say that, and then they're not going to do anything about it. But as of last night, Derek X still leaving. Today, the nominees have begun doing their one-on-ones, checking in with everybody, seeing where their votes are. We're going to be talking about that more tomorrow. I think things are really going to be picking up campaign-wise once Xavier goes into solitary confinement. I think that's when it's going to get really interesting. And I think that should be happening like in the next few hours. So we'll see. I don't know. But tomorrow's the eviction. Anything could happen. Hi. I think at this point it's likely that hello. You know, you got to do what you got to do. I think it's likely at this point that Derek X will be leaving, but maybe it'll be like a reverse Stan's funeral where somebody again is in solitary confinement, but it's not the person on the block. So
does he have to poop in a camp toilet?
I don't know. I was kind of wondering what the bathroom situation was going to be, because I feel like in the past they had like a little porta potty or something.
Maybe they're going to take him off site.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't know what they're going to be doing, but we'll see. So let's talk super chatters. I want to thank all of our super chatters because we could not do this without you guys. So Jefferson Tucker, thank you so much. Sheena123, thank you so much. Laura G, thank you so much. Lonnie Boyette, thank you so much. Nina Sosa, thank you so much. Lisa, thank you so much. Darby C, thank you so much. Isaiah Burwell, thank you so much. And Isaiah said, you're the best. Hope you feel better soon. Thanks. I hope I do too. It wasn't like terrible throughout the day, but then I realized that's because I had my mouth shut. But then, you know, once I start talking for a while, it's not great. Jefferson Tucker, thank you again. Yes, rest the instrument, feel better. No, I don't think it would be very effective for me to just hold up notes slowly. I don't even know if that would show up the right way or if it would be backwards, but thank you for the suggestion, though, and for the super chat. K Diggs, too, thank you so much. Yes, happy BB Wednesday, for sure. And Jefferson Tucker, he said, I feel so bad for you. Thank you. I'm going to be okay, guys. Don't worry. As long as you don't mind listening to me coughing my lungs up and sucking my snots back up my nose, I'm going to keep going, you know? Show must go on. So that's where we're at. We'll see you all later for tonight's episode recap.
Also going to be fun.
Yeah, should be fun, right? At least that we could like cut out some really bad ones. Okay. So I'll see you guys later. Thank you all for being here. And until next time, much love.